everyone, it's Deborah from deborahjackson.com.au, the home of Love Marketing, Love Business and Love Your Life. During my marketing strategy sessions with clients, we discuss the various social media platforms available and, of course, which one would suit their businesses most. For most business owners, LinkedIn is probably the #1 social media platform for building connections. However, when discussing LinkedIn, various questions soon pop up. Like, what should I put on my profile? How do I generate business? And is there a specific etiquette on LinkedIn? And that's just to name a few. So to help you through the maze, I've asked Brisbane's internationally known social media princess, Julie Mason, to explain to us the benefits of LinkedIn. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Firstly, tell me a little bit about your business and how long you've been in business.
Sure. I originally I started business 6 years ago, and I originally started in web design and specialising in Facebook app creations.
Wow.
And it slowly developed into training businesses on social media, because 6 years ago, as you know, it was all very new and people were trying to muddle their way through it. So I started teaching social media strategies for business, and then it's just evolved, and now I specialise on LinkedIn.
Well, I was going to say, because, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, you could be a specialist on all of the social media platforms, but they change so regularly.
They do.
And how did you keep up at first with all the changes?
Up was the proverbial word. I stayed up very late at night, continually studying, you know, because as you say, Facebook changes. It's so millisecond changes with Facebook. They're constantly upgrading and testing and breaking and reframing it. And LinkedIn is starting to do that, but all the social networks, it's just exhausting. And I think they've all now developed their own characters and strategies over that time period as well. Whereas once upon a time you could post content across all, now it's quite specific for what you do.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you then specialise in LinkedIn?
It's a great question. The reason I specialised in LinkedIn is because that's where my clients got the best results.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
in fact, that's backed up by some study done by HubSpot, who did some testing on lead generation against Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn, and found that lead generation on LinkedIn is 277% more effective than Facebook or Twitter.
Wow, well, we should
And
dive.
that's massive.
That is massive. So I think we should dive right in.
Sounds great.
And look at LinkedIn. All right, so is LinkedIn suitable for any type of business?
Yes and no.
Right.
So depending on your strategy, at the end of the day, LinkedIn, it covers all kinds of businesses on there. But at the end of the day, if you're a retail store looking to sell goods, LinkedIn probably isn't going to be your best platform. You might want to consider Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram as very visual spaces if you've got a retail product, particularly if it's, you know, a physical product. If you're in the professional services, accounting, lawyer, you know, business coaches, anything like that, it's a great space for you to be in LinkedIn because it's where people are doing business. Having said that, there's really vibrant communities on LinkedIn around health and wellness.
Wow.
And in fact, I've had one client, just to give an example, so we've got some examples for everybody here today. I've got one client who's a medical intuitive who within 24 hours of making some adjustments to a profile was approached to have 2 radio shows, one of which was with CBS Radio in the States with a listening audience of 1.8 million, of which she ran that radio show from her home in Warwick, west of Brisbane.
Queensland. See, guys,
You know?
anything's possible. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm always excited when people with different businesses are looking at LinkedIn because there's opportunity there. Absolutely.
So what should a business owner put on their profile?
Great question. There's 5 really key elements. The first one, have a great photo because that's how people will connect with you first and foremost. They won't connect with a shadow box and use as professional a photo as you possibly can. because if you're not looking at the camera,
you've got to show your best
I know,
light.
exactly. I love that.
Best personal branding ever.
Shine,
Yeah.
people, shine. Have a great headline, and a headline which comes right under your name on LinkedIn. Don't use your status of what you do in the company, as in director at XYZ Proprietary Limited. It's a waste of space. Put in there how you best help people.
Good,
yes. Have the value proposition there. Yeah. Make sure that you've fully fleshed out your contact information so that people can reach you. Oh my God, it's simple, but oh so important. And then have a summary that really, it doesn't talk about you, but it talks about how you help your clients, and ensure at the bottom of the summary you have a call to action. In other words, how do people do business with you?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it does make sense, but I think with a lot of social media, people are still very nervous about it. And so they're going, oh, what do we do? What do we say? And do we blow our own trumpet, so to speak? But it's not that at all. It's really just fine-tuning your resume and telling people out there how you can help them to your best abilities, because everybody has a problem. I mean, Google today wouldn't be making millions of dollars if people didn't have a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you were telling me a fantastic story before about the lady in Warwick. So you're saying that business can be generated through LinkedIn. Do you have any other stories for us?
Absolutely. To give you another out-of-the-box kind of an example, a lovely company down in Melbourne who specialises in scaffolding and formwork.
Now that's a bit dry.
Right, very dry. So scaffolding and formwork for high-rise buildings, and we help them with a strategy to generate sales leads for their business. And literally within 4 weeks, they generated $66,000 of business. And the general manager rang me and said, what was fascinating about that for him was that it actually generated that on LinkedIn. They didn't have to go and have a site visit. They didn't have a phone call. They closed the business on LinkedIn, that's phenomenal.
Yes,
yeah.
Indeed.
So,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get this question too, but do people connect with everyone that wants to connect with them?
That's a big question. Should you, shouldn't you? What's the etiquette? Look, there's unfortunately, and I hate to say it because I love LinkedIn, but there are more spam profiles starting to crop up. And so you do have to be mindful of who you're connecting to. If it's a bank manager of Scotland and, you kind of wonder, I'm going to say that's probably a spam profile, guys. Sorry. Just to be really honest with you. So, be mindful of looking. If there's something that red flags it for you, don't connect. But generally speaking...
What about if they don't have a photo?
They don't have a photo, check the rest of their profile out.
Okay.
Because sometimes people are a little introverted and they aren't quite ready to show their face yet, but they might actually be a really rigid person. They're just a little shy about that. And you can always, when somebody invites you to connect, you can always reply without connecting first. There is that option to say, thank you for reaching out and requesting to connect with me. Please tell me a little bit more about why you would like to connect. And that makes people feel more comfortable in the process as well.
Well, that's also a bit of etiquette.
It's great etiquette.
Yeah, so LinkedIn has its own etiquette.
It does.
Do you want to share some things that people shouldn't do on LinkedIn?
Please, guys, please, I beg you, please don't use the default. I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn when you connect. There is, and in fact, Deborah, just recently they brought out on the mobile app version the ability to customise and personalise that message when you connect now.
Finally!
I know, I'm so thrilled. But whenever you send a connection request, please send a personal message with it explaining to the person why you would like to reach out. And it could be, hey, Deborah, I noticed that we're in similar groups. I'd love to connect with you. It's just something that's really, it makes it personal. It actually increases the connection acceptance by about 70% as well. So it has a big impact there. And it also creates top of mind presence, and people then go and check your profile out and go, wow, they can help me with that. And of course, that can generate leads.
Indeed, indeed. So when you started your business 6 years ago, what were some of your best client attraction strategies that you used?
Great question. And I would say adding value. You know, adding value is one of the best ways to attract people to you, because it's not then going up if you're at a networking event and saying, here's my business card and how can we do business? You know, it's a bit too, you know, a bit too in your face. It's really about adding value and being a person of service, and being humble as well, I think, are great, you know, qualities to have. But also, you know, being open to connecting, having some trust there as well. Trust that people are actually good at heart, which they are.
Yeah, indeed,
you know, they really are.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that by doing all of those things, that it will actually come back to you tenfold.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Do you find also when you're building your business, was there a couple of things that you've learned along the way that you thought, oh, if somebody had told me this when I started, I would have been gold and I wouldn't have had to go through these trials and tribulations?
I wish. Every day I wish that.
So what are some of the things that you could share with our audience that they should be mindful of?
I'm going to give some that I give my clients, because I see a pattern in this all the time with small business owners starting out as well. Be really clear about who you serve. Be really clear about that, and be really clear about what they need help with.
Yes.
And serve that.
Yes.
You
Not
know?
trying to do everything and do the scattergun approach, but just focus on one thing. Yes?
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. You know, and I think over time I've evolved my business the same way. Originally, you know, doing social media and web design and SEO and all of these different things, to then just social media training, to then just LinkedIn, and then even that, targeting within LinkedIn the people that I really help. You know, so the more conscious you are of that, again, the more you become a brain surgeon instead of a general practitioner.
Indeed.
And again, guys, just a little hint with that, brain surgeons get paid more than a general practitioner.
So you want a niche, you want a niche and be known as the expert.
Everybody is not your target market. If that's the answer that you
Everybody
have,
or anyone? No.
it's not the target. It's not your target market.
Fantastic. Okay, one last question,
Yes.
if I may. When it comes to posting content on the social media, should we post it differently on your Facebook and Twitters and LinkedIn, or can the same post go across all mediums?
Great question. And yes, some posts can. However, you want to be really mindful that the language on Facebook is very much relaxed and informal. And people are on the intention, I think it's the psychology around the different ones as well is really important. The psychology on Facebook is like turning up to a friend's barbecue. Business is secondary, very much secondary. Whereas LinkedIn, business is first and foremost. So the way you would phrase things on Facebook might be slightly different than the way you would phrase it on LinkedIn. And on Twitter, of course, you've only got 140 characters.
So what can you
I
really
can't
say?
do Twitter. Exactly, at 140 characters, what can you say? But LinkedIn are really starting to push themselves as a publishing platform.
Oh, okay.
Because now they've got two types of posts that you can do. You've got your status update, and then you've got a published post, which is like a blog post.
Right, right.
And they really want to be able to add great value. So be really mindful of what you can do with the different types of posts and what's the result that you will get from that.
If you blog on your own
Website? Yeah.
your blog website, can you then upload the same blog post to the LinkedIn site?
At this stage, it seems to be working fine.
Let's work, it's good.
I'm hoping Google don't go and change that too much. But if you really are unsure, my advice is to adjust your blog post by about 14 to 20%. So then that's not too duplicated.
Perfect.
And you should be fine for the Google search engines as well.
Oh, terrific, terrific. Well, Julie, thank you so much for being with us
Pleasure.
today. I'm sure the audience has got some fantastic information. I would love to hear from you, so leave a comment now. Also, if you have a burning question or would like like to know more information about a subject matter, then send your request in. If you like this video, then please subscribe to the channel, and if you found value, of course, share it with all your friends. If you want even more fantastic marketing information to create the business that you love, then jump over to deborahjackson.com.au and sign up for my email posts. Remember, live the life you want and follow your dreams, and I'll see you next time on Deborah TV. Bye for now.